Yeah, I mean, we get it wrong. Like we said before, sometimes we have a guest coming in and we assume, oh, they're going to spend money. Let's point out some expensive champagne and expensive Barolos, and that's it. They're not going to come back. You can find good food. You can find good wine in New York, in many places, most of the places. But in order to create an experience like food and wine together, to invite them back, so they tell their friends, we went to Babbo, we went to this restaurant at the night, and we didn't have to break the bank, and we got great wine. So that's for me the goal. If they bring their friends back, you're gonna make the money in the future. It's
Yeah.
tomorrow's money. So having returning guests is the goal, and not assuming that because they look like they're gonna spend money, they're gonna spend money. You have to take their money. It doesn't work like that. You need to be
Yeah.
more smart and have them back.
Welcome to Masterclass US Wine Market with me, Barbara Fitzgerald. In this show, we'll break down the complexities of selling wine in the US by discussing the relevant issues of today with experts from around the globe. Each episode serves up 3 key insights to help elevate your winery's presence in the US market. So grab a pen and paper and let's pave the way for your success in the US.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Masterclass US Wine Market. Today, I am very excited to welcome Dimitrios Karagiannis to the show. Dimitrios is the wine director at Babbo Ristorante and Inoteca in New York City. So, Dimitrios, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's my pleasure to have you here. Babbo is such an institution for Italian wine lovers, so this is very exciting.
Yeah.
And before we dive into today's talk, can you tell us a little bit more about your background and how you came to work in the wine business?
Sure. My name is Dimitrios. I'm originally from Greece. I moved in the States. I moved in New York City almost 11 years ago from Athens, Greece, when I was doing something totally different. I was a sports journalist,
Wow.
writing sports in newspapers, radio stations, and websites. I drank wine, but I wasn't into wine business or kind of studying wine. When I moved to the States and I got into the hospitality business because it was the easiest way to get into a business without having any college degree in the States or anything else. Kind of I fell in love in the wine with the wine, and a friend of mine who was a Sam at that point, the same restaurant we were working together, he got me into that. Now he's a winemaker in Walla Walla. His name is William. He got me into that, so started with a court of master sommelier, and since then I'm been studying and I'm going for my advanced level. Hopefully next year. I'm with Babbo at Babbo since the reopening last year. So I joined the Star Group team last July. We reopened Babbo in October, and since then we're going.
Yes, I think you're being a little humble because you just won a big award for your wine list, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, that was the best Italian list in New York City.
Amazing.
In few days from now, we're participating in the global awards for the Star Wine List as the best Italian in New York, and with 10 or more restaurants from around the world, of course, outside of Italy. It's not the other competition. It wouldn't be fair for anybody else. And I feel well that you have a lot of chances to get this too.
Yes. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Very exciting. Because New York is probably, I mean, I hate to pick favorites, but it probably is the most exciting wine market in the United States. So it's always great to have an opportunity to talk to somebody who represents that market and represents such an amazing establishment in that market.
It is. New York is, is also the first city in the States the wine hits. So
Yeah.
most of the wine arrives here, and not many wine makes it to the West Coast.
You keep a lot of the good stuff for yourselves.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that in mind, our 3 key takeaways for this episode and what we're really excited to talk to you about, Dimitrios, are number 1, is the restaurant still where wine discovery happens? So talking about where and how consumers are discovering wine in today's landscape. Number 2, what do great restaurants like Babbo New York understand about hospitality? So we'll get some really great insights from you, considering that hospitality really is a true competitive advantage in today's experience economy. And number 3, what does the modern luxury consumer value in their wine? So how do today's high-value consumers think about wine, and what drives their purchasing decisions?
First question is about the wine discovery, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
I think still happening a lot. guests and consumers have more access to wine now with everything that's going on. And of course, social media and influencers, and you have everything on your phone. Anytime you want to check a wine, pricing and flavor profile and ratings, which is for Sams or for us, we don't take that, let's say, as serious as the guests take it, which is, of course, the ratings are great for a wine, means a lot, but we don't buy wine according to the ratings. Speaking for myself. But discovery is still happening, and especially in a place that Babbo, that you find wines like up to 80, 90 years old. And
Wow.
until today, that there are wines that you cannot find in any other cellar, for example, speaking of it on Italian wines, still there's discovery. So when you grab in a list in a restaurant like Babbo or any other restaurants, there are so many great restaurants in the city and of course in the States, a wine list that has like 50, 60 pages and from around the world, from around Italy. Of course, there are wines that you never came across. There are wines I never came across. I never tasted, and I'm tasting every day new wines and vintages that they were never presented to me before, right? So of course, discovery is happening, and it's not gonna stop happening because that's wine. Wine evolves, wine changes every day, and no matter how much wine you taste, there's gonna be always a wine that you're gonna discover for the first time, and maybe you're gonna fall in love with, or change your mind about a grape variety, change your mind about the region, about the restaurant, about the Sam's playing major role in that, because I feel like I've been to restaurants that they have, let's say, a good wine list, decent wine list, but there's no wine professionals on the floor. That for me takes away a lot of the magic, because a guest walking into a restaurant and opening a wine list and looking at grapes and regions they never had before, sometimes they feel like overwhelmed or shy to order or shy to pronounce things. A Sam on the floor is not always there to suggest a wine for a pairing, is always to take also the anxiety off you and make it easier. You can focus on your dinner while I'm picking a wine that you might not know how to pronounce, but I'm here for you to help you. You don't know how it tastes like, so I'm here to tell you before we open the bottle and surprise someone. And I think the Sam's playing the major role on discovering wine with the guest at the same time.
Yeah. And how would you say when you're helping your guests discover these wines like this, are they really interested in the story? Are they interested in, not just the kind of technical information about the grape, but, where it comes from, why that's interesting, why that's unique?
Thank you for bringing this up, because something I always use on my educational sessions with the staff, or when I'm buying wine, I'm always looking for a nice story. I always say the story makes the wine taste better. If you go to a table and you could just suggest a wine from a big producer, which is nothing's wrong with that wine, but it's a great wine, but you may have it before. It tastes great. It can be nice pairing with your pasta, with your steak, or with your fish. But it would be better if I can share a story with you that this wine is being made from a small family, a husband and a wife, or three sisters. That I'm talking about wines that have been served, right? That they doing this for generations, and they live in a small town in a small region, and growing grapes for a while, and they're doing also other interesting things like other byproducts from grapes, or grappas, or amari, or growing other products. I always see the guest face and reactions when I'm bringing this, like, interesting stories, that their eyes are open, so they're to listen and taste the wine. And again, I'm not gonna say if the wine doesn't taste right, but if that's the case, sharing a nice story creates a nice environment for you to taste the wine even better. Or will you taste in without a small story?
Yeah, absolutely. And you really have a front row seat. I mean, I'm guessing that there's a lot of, Barolo, Barbaresco, Chianti Classico that makes its way through your restaurant. But what are maybe some lesser known regions of Italy that you see performing really well right now?
When I started at Babbo, and we inherited part of the cellar, so we came across wines that we never had before, or I never had before. So starting there, I really started appreciating Italian whites, especially from northern Italy, Alto Adige. So fresh, alpine region. Only being there, like, you can see the wine, you can smell in the wine, you can feel the terroir, like we say, the microclimate in the area. So I think Alto Adige is a region that needs more attention. Other than that, I will say, kind of, the last couple of years, I am in love with Mediterranean reds. So I will go with Sicily, reds from Sicily, and reds from Sardinia that I really like. Or in general, like coastal reds rather than whites. I feel the reds in these areas perform so great. They have a nice amount of salinity, acidity, body, not overwhelming with fruit, even if there's a hot region, but always getting the nice influence from the coast, from the Mediterranean. So coastal reds in Italy for me is also my favorite wine right now.
I love this call out. Coastal Reds.
Yep.
Yeah. It's amazing to see. I mean, just a quick technical comment. It is so amazing to see how, I live in Puglia part of the year. So the heel of the boot, it gets quite hot there. And it is incredible how, indigenous varieties to that area can grow without becoming overly saturated with fruit and maintain, like, you taste the ocean air, the breezes in the wine. The alcohol stays moderate, and it's like amazing what is from that area, how it
Exactly.
turns itself into a beautiful, delicate wine.
And what you mentioned before, sometimes you have to use technical, terms, but I hate that when especially I'm talking to guests or I hear a sommelier talking about the fermentation or the yeast or the barrel or the oak or the stainless steel. Guests don't need to know that. Guests need to know a nice story. Guests need to know how the grapes are growing in the vineyards. Guests need to know who's picking up the grapes, not how many months or how many days spent with the skins or in the stainless steel or an oak. For me, this is not important for the guests. It's for us, so we know how the wine is being made, what we expect, but it's not a story to share with the guest that the wine spends time in the autoclave for Prosecco, for example. It's something you share about the family that grows the grapes.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a great segue into our second takeaway, talking about wine hospitality, because, like we said at the beginning, this is such a strong experience economy. And wine, our future may really depend on creating these meaningful experiences for guests. And restaurants provide such a unique lens into hospitality and deepening customer engagement. So, in your opinion, what makes a really great, memorable wine experience?
I'm going to bring an example of our pairing menu. We have a pasta tasting Chef Mark Ladner came up with some classic dishes of his from old Babbo, from his days at Del Posto, or in general influence he has throughout the years. And by seeing the menu before we decide on the pairing, I saw that this was so versatile. So we're going from tomato sauce to spicy and then back to cool and then back to spicy. And it was like all over the place in a nice way. It keeps you always exciting. So I was trying to create, and I created a wine pairing based on wines that people are not familiar with. It will be easy to get a Barolo or a Nebbiolo, get a Sangiovese, Brunello, and some Etna Rosso, something that people really know, and put it on the menu. It's not that it's not going to be exciting, but it's something that they have every day, especially if you're a wine person. You have Brunello and Barolo in almost every dinner you're going out. So we created a pairing that is showcasing grape varieties that people are not familiar with, regions that they're not familiar with. Of course, pairing also sometimes regions with regions like food. Mentioning the Puglia said before, we have a dish, minestrone with stracciatella. So we pair it with Verdecca from Puglia. So stracciatella coming from Puglia, Verdecca coming from Puglia, kind of pairing those two together. Besides the flavor, we're pairing also the story, which again makes the wine pair better. And we see, for me, the biggest achievement that I feel really happy after the pairing is like when you have some wine collectors that they have maybe even bigger cellar than yours in the restaurant, and they take in the pairing and that having wines as a Teroldego or a sparkling wine from Marco de Bartoli in Sicily, from Grillo, a Verdecca, a Cesanese from Lazio, a vermouth to start with from Piemonte. They say that if they didn't get the pairing, they will never get to try these wines, and they're happy doing it. For me, this is the biggest achievement we're doing with the pairing. So when you get to please a palate that every day tastes wines that cost a lot of money, that's for me that's our goal. So if you please them, of course you're gonna please guests that they're not really into wine and getting like introduced to grape varieties and region and producers they never heard of.
And you're making it so memorable because you're taking them on a tour of Italy. It's like the next best thing to traveling.
Exactly. And we create a small map.
I love it.
Yep. We give them with the pairing and they see kind of where we're traveling in Italy. So it's fun. It's fun for us. So I hope it's for the guests.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And do you find that, this makes them also more comfortable engaging with the wine? Like you said, sometimes people feel shy, especially if they can't pronounce a grape variety, but giving them this beautiful experience, it warms them up to engaging more fully.
Yeah, of course. And we have guests that coming back after the pairing menu or after having a bottle of wine that they never tasted before. Coming back, I can say with more confidence, grabbing the wine list, showing their friends which wine they had before, asking if you have the same one or try something different. So it's like breaking the ice with the guests on their first visit and making them feel like this is not a book of 70 pages that you need to memorize or you need to find a wine during your meal. You're here for 2 hours. I hate when I see guests spending half an hour with when they're not asking for assistance because they know things, of course, and spending half hour of their dinner looking on the wine list, and their guest is on their phone and they're like not engaging. That's why we want us to jump in and take this out of your hands and be like, what are you looking for? I'm always being honest about also the price range, which is it saves everybody's time because I think time is very important when you go to the restaurant. Again, you're going out for 2 hours. We don't want to be there discussing wine before you choose a wine for more than 10 minutes. So give me that. This is my job. Give me that. I'll take care of that. And I'm always kind of taking the risk. And like I'll bring you this wine. I'm gonna open it, and if you don't like it, we'll find something else. I'm never gonna have a guest. You know what? You pick the wine. You're gonna drink it now. That's something that is not gonna happen, no matter how much expensive the wine is. So you're also giving them the chance, or the choice. If I buy a bottle of wine that costs $200 and I don't like it, what I'm gonna do? So I'm giving you the option.
Yeah.
Don't drink it. I'll take it back. We find something else. Don't feel committed to something.
Wow, so you're making it very low stakes for them. So you're encouraging this trial, this experimentation, this discovery.
Yeah.
And how important would you say is wine to the experience at Babbo? Do you have many guests that come in and don't drink wine at all, or is it really foundational to what you guys offer?
There are guests that do not drink at all, especially these days. But compared to other restaurants that I worked and I've been, the wine consumption at Babbo is much, much higher from what you're going to see in other places. We have guests coming in and asking for wine or ordering wine before they order food. So they're planning their dinner to their wine they're picking or they're asking for a pairing. There are guests that have been visiting Babbo for the last decades and they know the depth of the cellar, and they know that there are wines there they're not going to find anywhere else, or even if it's the last bottle of an old vintage. So yes, the wine at Babbo is very important. I will say is half and half. Chef Mark is also making food, coming up with recipes based on wine. So he makes dishes that will be great there with the wine.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So my last question about this hospitality piece is, obviously we sell wine through many different channels. And in your opinion, what lessons could wineries, selling direct or even retailers learn from the hospitality that you offer in the restaurant world?
Just listen to the guest. And sometimes we make the mistake, a guest giving us a price range or an idea of what they like. And we will go to sell a wine that we're going to get rid of, or we have a lot of it. But no, I mean, I've done these mistakes before, but I see that that's not fair for the guest. If you give them what they're asking for and they're happy, they're going to come back, of course. And the best feeling is when a guest is leaving, shaking your hand, it's like, it was a great wine, it was a great pairing, it was a great experience. That's what I want to hear. Not depleting a wine in the cellar because I have to. So just listen. If you listen, you're not going to get something bad or go
beautiful
wrong.
Advice. Well, let's talk a little bit about these modern kind of luxury wine consumers, since you really have a front row seat. We said, Babbo is such an important destination for Italian wine in New York. So what do you think is really motivating wine purchases today?
I'll say again, creating experience for the guest. Of course, there are going to be wines that you need to have in the cellar in a way. Let's say if you're an Italian restaurant with deep Italian wine list, there are some allocated wines that, of course, you're going to have. But we taste wines every day, and there are wines that it's when you taste it, it's like, yes, this wine needs to be on the list. I taste a wine, and I'm thinking of a specific guest that I know if these guests come back, they're going to love this. So again, it's about making guest experience better. If you buy wine for you, you're not going to sell it. Or if you sell it, they're not going to like it because you're not going to drink it. You're going to drink it at the end if they return it. But the goal is also to sell wine and make money and buy more wine. But if you don't focus on the experience for the guest, you're missing the point.
Yeah, I love that's such a beautiful sentiment that you are buying wine with a specific guest in mind, that you're excited for them to try it. That's why I guess discovery at your restaurant is so great. So do you think that the expectation of the guest has changed in recent years?
Yeah. I think, again, like we said in the beginning, people, guests, consumers are more educated now on wine. They dining in restaurants with good wine lists, with professionals on the floor, and they know more things now. And I think they turn into quality than quantity now. It depends where your restaurant is, in which area, neighborhood, state, city, country, of course. It depends what you're offering. But I think as a general rule, I feel guests going into quality and spending more money, maybe, but they're asking
Mhm.
for good things. So that's why also you cannot fail them. You have
Yeah.
to bring the right things. So I think quality is the what they're looking for.
Yeah. Is there an assumption that you think that maybe the wine industry gets wrong about customers willing to spend more money on wine?
Yeah, I mean, we get it wrong. Like we said before, sometimes we have a guest coming in or business meeting and we assume, oh, they're going to spend money. Let's point out some expensive champagne and expensive Barolos, and that's it. They're not going to come back. If you offer them a great Barolo that they can find in every single restaurant, I mean, food is important, of course. You can find good food everywhere, in many places, especially in New York. You can find
Mhm.
good wine in New York, in many places, most of the places. But in order to create an experience like food and wine together to give them and invite them back, so they tell their friends, we went to Babbo, we went to this restaurant that night, the night, and we didn't have to break the bank and we got great wine. So that's for me the goal. So if they bring their friends back, you're making the money that you would make with an expensive Barolo or Brunello. I keep saying Barolo or Brunello because usually it's most expensive coming from Italy. So you're gonna make the money in the future. It's
Yeah.
tomorrow's money. So having returning guests is the goal, and not assuming that people are gonna, because they look like they're gonna spend money, they're gonna spend money. You have to take their money. It doesn't work like that. You need to be
Yeah.
more smart and have them back.
Yeah, you're talking again just about curation, about making it something that is really memorable, that gives them a thread that ties them to you, that makes them want to return, that makes them trust you.
Yeah.
Would you say also that, today, I mean, are you still seeing a lot of guests that really just want like status wines? They come in and they just say big names
Yeah, of
and
course.
that's so you still have that, but then
Oh yeah,
what
yeah,
do you think
100%.
it's more of? Is it more of that or is it more of people who are really genuinely curious about
I'll
trying
say a
something
mix.
new?
A mix. It's also the restaurant. Again, at Babbo, they know that they're coming and having Italian wines only, and they know what to expect. In any other restaurant, I think there's a mix. You always want to have guests coming in and telling you, oh, I like big Napa Cab. I know you don't have any. I might have in the cellar, which we have some wines off the menu that we can offer,
Mhm.
to experience also something different. People don't expect to have these wines, right? But it's not on the menu. But they're open to suggestions. So you like big wines. I mean, in Italy, you're not gonna find big wines. There are specific regions you can bring up to the conversation, but also they're not what they expect, like Napa Cab, right? But for me, is also to prepare them for what's coming. If the guest says, "I like Napa Cab," and you say, "I don't have any, but let me bring you this," it's not a Napa Cab. If you explain to them that this is that it's made like this, that's the flavor profile. It's not an Napa Cab, but I will say something closer. It goes great with this dish to create an environment to accept it and not surprise them.
Yeah.
If you walk away from the table and say like, "Yeah, I don't have Napa Cup, but let me bring you something," they're gonna think like, "Okay, it's gonna be something very similar," but it's not.
Yeah. It sounds like you're saying what is really key is this ability to kind of surprise and delight people, right?
Yeah,
Like give them an experience that is special, but that they maybe didn't know they were going to get when walking in the door.
exactly.
Amazing. Well, this is all very exciting. So thank you so much for sharing
Oh,
all this
thank you. Of
information.
course.
I actually was in New York City a couple of weeks ago and I went and had a drink at the bar at Babbo. I was so happy that you had select for a select spritz. So that's what I had.
Oh, you should let me know that you're on.
Well, we like to wind up here with a rapid fire quiz where we ask our guests three questions just to really help the listeners better understand this episode and the US market. So just answer in a couple sentences if you can. But
Yep.
what is your number one tip for mastering the on premise market in New York?
Be honest and straightforward. Like, don't go around. Don't try to sell something that you don't believe, or don't try to steal my money or steal someone's money. Like, be honest. Like, if I'm asking for something, I want that.
Yeah, beautiful advice. The authenticity is like people crave it and they can sniff out when it's not there.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2, what is something you would have told your younger professional self about working in the US wine industry?
I'll say that advice that I will give for even other aspects in my life. Don't overthink it. It's simple.
Yeah.
It's it's wine. It's fun. Don't overthink it.
Yes. Thank you for the reminder. Wine is fun. It
Yeah.
doesn't always have to be serious and stuffy. Okay, number 3, where is your favorite place to drink wine in your hometown? Maybe New York or Greece.
Uh, I'll say Greece first. Greece, on my visits and wine trips that I had, I enjoy a small group or even myself with a winemaker or the people that make the wine. Just having wine in the cellar, in the vineyard,
Yeah.
somewhere close to the stores, and just talk about everything other than wine.
So you're talking about the connection. Wine is the connector.
Yep, it is definitely.
Yeah. And how about in New York?
In New York, I don't know, like so many places that I like to visit and drink wine. Usually, I go to places that I know people, and I feel again like back to what we said, like I feel more comfortable. And even like I know wine, I always go to friends and say like, "That's how much you want to spend. Give me something,
Yeah.
blind me something." I always like to be blind and have to discuss with my friends or whoever I'm going out what the wine can be. I don't want to name places, but I say places that I feel welcomed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you're calling out that even those of us in the industry, we're still constantly being surprised and learning and discovering. That's what makes wine so wonderful. You never stop learning.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Dimitrios. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I mean, I'm on social media on Instagram as the Dimcar and at Babbo. I'm there almost every day. So next time you're at the bar, let me know before you order a select spritz.
With great pleasure. I will, I love spritzes so much, and I love an Aperol spritz, but it's so hard to find things like Select or Cappelletti, and I just like to, I like to discover too. I like to change it up. So, but yes, I'll give one more plug for those who haven't been or who don't know. You must go to Babbo in New York City to be completely amazed by the whole experience.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope to see you soon.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Masterclass US Wine Market. Thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode and want to stay up to date with the latest industry trends, remember to like, follow, and share our podcast. And if you find value in our conversations, please leave us a review to help others discover the show and grow our community. Stay tuned for new episodes every Monday. Until then, brindiamo il vostro successo.